this tutorial, I would like to show you how to attach an I-cord to your project. I'm actually wearing my Gentleman Cardigan, where I attached an I-cord to all the edges of my blazer. And as you can see, it gives your project a beautiful, polished and professional finish. And how this works, I'll show you now.
And this is all we need. We need our DP ends, the size as given in your pattern. Your working yarn, of course. In this case, I'm using a contrasting color just to make it easier for you to see what I'm actually doing. And this would be our project. In this case, it's my little swatch. I've knitted it up in fisherman's rib. It's actually the same pattern as I'm using in my gentleman's cardigan, just in case you're following that pattern. Okay, no further ado, let's start. With our working yarn, we're actually working the I-cord edging over 5 stitches. And this is how we start with our working yarn. In your preferred cast-on method, I'm actually using for this the classic long-tail cast-on. We're going to cast on 4 stitches. And this is how I'm doing it. I'm just using like the regular slingshot method. I'm actually not using a slip knot because sometimes at the very bottom of your work, you can see this tiny little knot. So I'm just gonna twist that stitch on. Just go under your yarn, twist the needle around, and this will be your first stitch. Okay, we have 1 stitch and now we need 3 more stitches. I'm going to go like 1, 2, and 3. We have now 4 stitches on our needle. Actually, it's good to leave a little bit of a tail because you're gonna sew it to the very bottom of your work, and then you can actually hide the ends in your little tube you just created when you were casting on the Italian cast-on method. Okay, and now, as I said, we are working over 5 stitches, so we have 4 stitches on our needle. We need just 1 more stitch, and we're gonna pick that stitch up from the edge of our work. In this case, we started with an Italian edge, cast-on edge, so I'm just gonna pick up 2 legs from the very bottom, and it's important to really get the very bottom of your work because you want to keep the I-cord edging in a straight line to the bottom of your jacket or your shawl or whatever you're using this method for. Okay, I just pick up and knit 1 stitch. So, and now we have 5 stitches as promised. We're gonna slip the stitches to the front of the needle again, and that's actually why we're using the DP ends, because it's so much easier. If you have a cable needle, it's a hassle. You have the cable hanging around, and we have no more than 5 stitches on our needle. So we slide it back, and we're just going to knit 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. So the next thing we're going to do is going to be an SSK. So we're gonna slip the next stitch as if to knit, put it back on our needle, and knit the next 2 stitches together through their back loops. And again, 4 stitches. Next step, pick up and knit from the next garter stitch bump, because now the edge is going to be a garter stitch selvage edge. It's a little slip of tongue with that long word. So I'm going to slide these 5 stitches back to the tip of the needle, and same thing. I'm just going to knit 1, 2, and 3. Going to prepare for SSK, slip as if to knit, put it back on your needle, and knit both stitches together through their back loops. 4 stitches on your needle. You're gonna insert your needle in the next garter stitch bump, knit up a stitch, 5 stitches on your needle, slide it back, and knit 3 stitches, 3, prepare SSK, slip as if to knit, back on your needle, knit through the back loop. Next thing, pick up a stitch, knit it, and again 5 stitches on your needle. And one more time, you're going to knit 1, 2, 3, SSK, slip as if to knit through the back loop. And that's basically it. It's pretty easy. You always have to remember 4 stitches on your needle. You need to pick up 1 more stitch, 5 stitches. Slide it back on your work, SSK, and pick up another stitch. So one more time, you see 4 stitches on my needle. It's actually a good reminder when you put down your work, and maybe let's say you start next day and you don't know where you are. You just look on your needle, 4 stitches, meaning, okay, I have to pick up another stitch from my garter bump, slide it back, and here you go again. Knit 3 stitches and slip as if to knit, put it back, and SSK. So here you see, it's already creating that little nice tube that creates this beautiful edge. And basically, I'm just going to show you one more time. You see all these little bumps. So basically, you have to pick up 1 bump after another. The good thing about, in this case, fisherman's rib or any other brioche kind of pattern, the garter stitch edge has the same gauge, so you don't have to worry picking up 2 stitches, leaving 1, and so on. With garter stitch edge, you just pick up 1 garter bump after another, and you don't have to think about and worry that the gauge will be off or anything. So basically, you will pick up around the edge, you pick up all garter stitch bumps. I'm going to finish this garter stitch edge, and I'm going to meet you back at the very corner of the lapel of the jacket in this case, because I want to show you how you turn the corner without rounding the edge or pulling in. You just want that beautiful, nice, sharp corner. Okay, I worked all my garter bumps and I reached the very top of my corner. As you can see, we created a beautiful edge which is versatile and looks beautiful even on the other side. So now I'm going to show you how to turn the corner in order to keep a sharp corner. We have 4 stitches on the needle, so we need to pick up the last garter stitch bump on this side. So I'm going to pick up and knit a stitch, slide needle back, and as usual I'm going to knit 3 stitches, 1, 2 and 3, SSK, slip as if to knit, put it back on the left needle, knit through both stitches through the back loops, and now we have to slide the 4 stitches back because we want to create some extra room in order to get around the corner. So I slide the 4 stitches back and I'm going to knit all 4 stitches because there's no stitch to decrease. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now in order to get that sharp corner, I'm going to insert my needle in the same purl bump I just picked up the last stitch from. So I'm going inside, pick up and knit a stitch, and again I have 5 stitches on my needle. Going to slide it back, knit 3 stitches, 1, 2 and 3, prepare SSK, knit through the back loops, 4 stitches, and now from each bound off stitch, because this is a bound off row, I'm just gonna pick 1 stitch for each bound off stitch. Insert my needle to the bound off stitch, pick up a new stitch, slide my stitches back, and I'm going to knit 3 and work an SSK. Slip as if to knit, and knit through the back loops, 4 stitches. I'm just gonna work a couple more stitches. Next stitch, bound off stitch, pick up and knit, 5 stitches on the needle, knit 3 stitches, and SSK. So this maneuver gives me enough room to turn around the corner without pulling in the fabric. So it's going to stay in a nice and sharp corner. I'm just going to do one more and you'll see the finished version. Pick up and knit another stitch, 5 stitches. So as you see, it's pretty easy to remember each step you have to take for the I-cord edging. Knit 3, SSK, put it back on your needle and knit. And now you can see it creates a beautiful corner. You have enough room so the fabric won't pull in. Perfect from both sides, as you can see. And the good thing, you can use this technique for any kind of project you're doing for a shawl or the edge of a pullover. So feel free to use this technique. Happy knitting!